Yep. Right. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Cryptopolitan podcast. I'm Anush, and today we're going to be discussing something that I and many others in the industry think is going to define the next chapter of crypto trading and honestly, exchanges more broadly. We're talking about AI, of course, the version where AI actually becomes part of the market structure itself. To unpack all of this, I've got a brilliant guest with me today, Ignacio Aguirre, the Global Chief Marketing Officer at Bitget. He has spent over 15 years across tech, fintech, and blockchain, including senior roles at Adobe, SAP, ScoChain, Chapo Bank before landing at Bitget. So he sits at this very rare intersection of the technical and the storytelling side, which I think is going to make this conversation a lot more layered. Ignacio, welcome to the show. It's really, really glad to have you on.
Hey Anush, just first off, thank you for having me with you. Thank you and hello to your audience. As you just mentioned, yeah, I started with Bitget almost 10 months ago. So I am one of these hybrids, if you want to say, between Web 2 and Web 3. I'm a computer engineer by heart, but then I moved to marketing. So numbers and storytelling kind of intertwined in my life, as you just said. A lot of tech companies, but also companies like Universal Pictures, gaming companies. So it intertwined, and I think that's like where it took me. It helped me. And just as a quick fact, when I started, I realized that I could explain complicated solutions in a simple way. So I think that's where, like, when I joined crypto, I was like, oh yeah, because it's like this, and they were like, oh really? I haven't thought about it. So that's kind of like something that I like.
hmm Yeah, I think we share something similar there as well, because when I first got into crypto, the first roadblock that I experienced was the jargon, right? The technical jargon. And that seemed a little intimidating. Uh, but soon enough, if you wrap your head around the underlying technology and the ethos of what this space is about, um, I guess simplifying the process is what is going to bring a lot more people on board. So
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely share that vision as well. Um, awesome. So I want to dive right in because I think there's a lot to cover, and I think the stuff that Bitget has been doing recently is genuinely worth digging into. Um, so Bitget has been describing itself as an agent native exchange. So I've been going through the website, and I'll be pretty honest, I see that phrase floating around a lot these days. And most of the time, I believe it's marketing. It's a lot of marketing uh, dressed up as architecture. I've seen a lot of exchanges do this as well. Uh, so I just wanted to ask, what does agent native actually mean for a trader logging into Bitget today? And I suppose the second part of that is, how is that genuinely different from every other exchange that's, slapping on that AI feature over their platform?
Yeah, so Anush, that's actually a great question. I love the fact that you highlight this. I love that there's always every year there's like some specific jargon or term that everyone throws around, and sometimes it's like like at some point you would see like, oh, tokenized ice cream, and you're like, what are you talking about? And then now AI is the new word. So for us, if you talk about like an agent native exchange, so let me start. An agent native exchange is built for software agents as first class participants, not just humans using AI side tools. The difference is that intelligence, permissions, execution rails, and risk controls are designed together from the start. It's not like you're building a Frankenstein, but you're building something from scratch. So for traders today, that means moving from AI helps me analyze to AI can monitor, decide, and execute inside rules that I set. With humans still owning the capital and the risk preference, I think that is the key of it. So
Mhm.
if you ask me what would be the key distinction versus other platforms, adding AI to their architecture, it would be that Bitget is tying together Get Agent, Get Claw, Agent Hub, and Gracie AI into one connected stack, rather than just layering a chatbot on top of an old user experience or UI. That's something that I've always hated. As you mentioned, I come from the SaaS world, so I've seen many times that I would go into a client and I would see that there was like a Frankenstein build. It worked, but it just took one single API to cut, and everything falls down. It's a house of cards.
Mm.
So that's a lot of the solutions today are built on this. They're built with APIs, with things that are not natively built. So for us, we're building it from scratch, and we're not trying to build one on the other. We're making it everything like interacting. And like a quick stat, our AI ecosystem now has 1 million plus users, and 1.2 billion plus in cumulative trading volume, and 58 AI powered tools. So that's a lot of numbers if you think about it.
Mhm. Yeah, that's something that really caught my eye as well when I was going through your site here, and I think that makes sense. The way I think about it, there's a clear distinction between AI that sits on top of an exchange versus AI that's been baked into the rails themselves. And I think
Yes.
most platforms right now at this current stage, they're doing the first bit. They're giving you a sort of smarter chart, maybe a sentiment tracker, maybe even a sort of chatbot that summarizes your P&L. That's all fine, but again, it's just a feature, I believe. It's not infrastructure, and I think that's what I've been seeing Bitget doing very differently. Uh, which actually, I think it kind of leads me naturally into my next question, uh, because I read that your CEO said something recently that kind of stuck with me. Uh, she said the role of AI is shifting from chat to execution. And I just want to unpack that a little. Um, where do you personally draw the line between AI that helps you trade and AI that actually trades for you? And I think more importantly, how does Bitget manage that boundary? Because especially for retail users who might not fully understand what they're handing over to an agent, that might be a little bit of a big deal.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's a great question. So basically, the line is pretty simple. AI that helps you trade gives signals, summaries, and suggestions. AI that trades for you is allowed to act within predefined permissions, limits, and sub-accounts. So it's essentially a boundary of bounded autonomy. So the AI can execute only within user-approved rules. So it cannot freely rewrite the strategy or move outside the risk limits. You are going to be the one setting the boundaries. That's why dedicated accounts, sandboxing, and permissioning matter so much. Once an agent can place live trades, real issue becomes it becomes like a governance problem rather than a novelty. Because we have all seen Terminator, like when the T-1000 takes control of the Earth and then everything goes south. So this is where we draw the line. We like I think the point is not to remove the human. It's to move the human up the stack, where they can define intent while the AI handles monitoring and execution. So actually here, what I would like to say is sometimes I, I like to give an example that all of us in crypto, blah, 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 even if you're not a professional trader, you're always saying, if Bitcoin gets to 90, I will take profit,
Mhm.
but you don't. And then you say, when Bitcoin gets to 60, I will buy. But you don't. Why? Because we're humans. We're emotional. We get feelings. We panic trade. We panic sell. We do things that actually we shouldn't be doing. But AI brings that data to back up the decisions that we make. We don't make them with the heart. We make it with data. So I think this is where the value comes. Now, we're gonna launch Get Agent Playbook. So then this boundary is gonna become more tangible if you want to think about it. So Playbook basically enables users to subscribe or to deploy strategies where AI executes end-to-end trading actions. It could be from market scanning, position entry, take profit, and stop loss, strictly based on a preset logic within isolated sub accounts or like for fund security. So you can actually organize everything that you want and you can put the presets. So basically, Playbook acts as a 24/7 execution layer, continuously monitoring markets, enforcing strategy, discipline, and managing risk without emotional bias or manual intervention, which is what I mean. So For me, I have kids. So if I'm playing football with my kid, I'm definitely not watching charts, because then he would make a goal to me and I would be very mad. And he would be, "Dad, leave the phone." So sometimes you need to actually trust the system, and we are the system. It also lowers the barrier to strategy creation, so users can mainly describe trading ideas in natural language. That's the beauty of it, because if you think about vibe coding, so as I told you, and you said the same, I'm a computer engineer. So the fact that a guy who's a lawyer can now give three prompts and write code makes me so mad. It makes me very happy, and I am happy for the people who can do it, because but I had to spend 4 years to try to make this code that now a lawyer can just pitch and have in 2 seconds, which is like so like it's good, but it also is like, why? But this was normal, so at the end of the day, I think over time, high quality user generated playbooks can become discoverable. They can allow broader participation, and they can be reused. So co-creation across the platform. And this is where it works, because it becomes human, it becomes social. So the fact that if someone wants to start trading, I think the barrier is very high, because you're like, "Oh, I'm trading and it's my money." But the fact that you can talk because we're not all traders, we're not all economists, we're not all so sometimes natural language works, and that is the reason why a lawyer today can create an app without knowing anything about technology. So we want to build pretty much this. We want to fill the gap. So Playbook pretty much reflects like a broader shift from AI as an assistant to AI as an execution layer. So while you keep control like in the hands of the user through transparent rules and governance, you definitely help these people do something that they would never have thought they would do before. And I think this is the value, because
Mhm,
you give power to people who thought like, I would never be able to trade. Why? Yeah, because I don't know. Well, now you can.
mhm. Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's really fascinating because um, to many people entering crypto in itself, um, I suppose the first avenue. Oh, I
Sorry,
think,
I think
yeah, no
I don't know
problem.
why my computer got lost. Give me just a second.
Yeah, yeah, no problem, no problem.
Why am I not seeing myself? Give me a second. I'm
Yeah,
back,
you're
right?
back on. You're back, you're back.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
No, no, that's okay. That's okay. So yeah, I think I find this really fascinating because uh, for me included and for a lot of people entering crypto, there definitely was a hesitation because your first avenue would probably be to trade crypto or trade the assets or even maybe even hodl, but like invest for the long term. But you try and time your entry, right? Like you said, you always thought that there might be a better opportunity out there when in hindsight maybe that was your local low or your
You
bear
missed the
market
wave,
lows. You missed the wave, right?
or the wave hit you on the back. You could
Exactly.
think about it anyway.
Exactly. So I really like the point on the execution layer side of things while you still have human control. And I think a lot of people are not I trying to say that many people are not really paying attention to that point alone because execution is that final leap, right? And I think since it is your own money and you're sort of diversifying into this asset class, it can seem a little intimidating, but this just sort of brings a new wave of people on board, I believe. And we're starting to see that right now with all these features coming about.
And
So
and
yeah,
yeah,
just
and just one thing. For example, the other day I told someone, like, you don't have to time the market, and you can actually take
mm,
advantage of the market. So let's say you want to hodl, right? So you can create a bot and say, hey, listen, I'm going to deploy these $400, whatever you want, 100 or $20, it doesn't matter.
mhm,
And you can say, every time Bitcoin drops 2%, buy 5% of that amount. And then if it goes
mhm,
down, 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 keep on buying. Now, never sell unless we get to the original point. And when it starts going up, start selling in the same way. So
mhm,
if you're hodling, this is a great strategy, because if you're keeping the asset, you're making money off it. So a lot of people don't understand that even when the market is bearish, you can still make money. Or
That's
if
it.
you're into like very volatile assets, you can also buy and sell like in like in like margin trades. So I always say that and with this, if you don't mind, I'll tell like a more like like a personal story. We work with MotoGP, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
know, are you familiar with MotoGP?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like the Formula One of motorcycles. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, the guys, and probably it's the same for F1 drivers, but the guys at MotoGP blink once every 3 minutes when they're racing, because
Mm-hmm.
every time they close their eyes, they lose 14 meters of track. So that can tell you the speed that they're going at.
Mm-hmm.
So these guys are the chassis. They don't have a car that stops the hit.
Yeah.
So they're taught to do this. And while like maybe in a race they blink 20 times, but you and I watching the race probably blink 700 times. So while you closed your eyes, the market moves, and at the end of the day we close our eyes to sleep. So if you consider the amount of time that your eyes are closed during the day, this tells you that you cannot time the market. Like manually, it's
Mm.
impossible for you to do it. So
Mm-hmm.
while you sleep, while you blink, we can trade for you. So you can go into your meeting feeling at ease that if anything drops, you'll sell, or if it goes up, you'll buy anything that you want. So I think this is the thing, and AI is a great way to do it, because now you
Mm-hmm.
don't have to understand a pro tool, but you can talk to your agent and you can build your strategy with natural language. And I think it's all about that.
That's a really interesting analogy, and I think I'll be definitely keeping that in mind as well now the next time I put a trade in. Um, yeah, so I just wanted to also just go back to the numbers that you were talking about earlier. Um, so there are over million users on Bitget AI, more than 1.2 billion in cumulative trading volume across 58 plus AI powered tools. Now that in itself is not a small experiment. That kind of signals mainstream retail adoption to me. Uh, so what does that tell you about how much appetite that there actually is for, AI driven trading at the retail level? And where do you see this going in the next, let's say, 12 to 18 months?
Okay, no, that's a really good question. And I think when you ask me what is it like, what do you see evolving in the next 12, 18 months, I think we should be talking about the next 3 to 6 months, because everything is with AI, everything is changing so fast. But
Yeah.
the fact that our AI tools have already surpassed 1 million users and 1.2 billion, it suggests that retail appetite for AI that goes just beyond experimentation and into actual trading workflows is going to grow. So we see that this is picking up. We see people are getting it, and actually, a recent report by Messari also indicates strong early engagement across the stack. So including 450,000 Get Agent users and 460,000 Gracie AI users in the early rollout phase. So this is huge. And that points into a shift of user behavior. People want tools that can help them act faster, with less friction and fewer manual steps. So I told you 3 and 6 is the one I want to take a look at so that we can react. But over the next 1 to 1.5 years, the likely evolution from single feature AI assistants to workflow native trading systems that combine analysis, execution, and risk management in one loop, it's what's going to stick. Because you don't want to, I remember some time ago, I was saying, when people told me, but what is Get Agent? And I was saying, you know Siri, right? The AI agent from Apple. I said, you use Siri to call your friends or your mom, but you use Get Agent to call the bottom of the market, because this is a way to explain it. But now we went above and beyond. So definitely we're going to see a huge, massive change, because now it's not just leaning on it and trying to see if it works. You can execute, and that's where I say, and I love this. Like you said, you were going to sell, you were going to take profits at 80, but you didn't. And I love that, because we all have been in that moment, or it was like, I swear to God, if it drops for that, I will buy. But you didn't. And that is the reason why AI can help you make more decisions, which are not going to make you think, but maybe it will drop more. And then it just goes back up to 80. And you're like, oh my God, I should have bought. No, let the numbers do the work. Let the AI tools that know trading do the work. And if you're a pro trader, use AI to make even more trades. So I think that is the beauty of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a lot of traders over the markets cycles have realized that screenshotting the top is probably the signal. If you're going to have many screenshots, that's probably when you had to sell. And I think AI might well fix that with what
Yeah.
we've been seeing now.
Yeah,
Um,
because AI is gonna see what is happening on the back. Are they like selling
mm,
orders, buying orders? And this is something you will like honestly, as a human with a computer, you will not get. AI will do it 1,000 times faster, and it will tell you or buy or whatever is the signal that you're looking
mhm,
for.
mhm. Yeah. Um, So yeah, I totally agree. And I think retail traders, we're basically tired of, juggling six tabs or trading view for charts, telegram for signals. Anything that sort of collapses that entire stack is going to get adoption in my eyes. Uh, but I think here's where my brain starts to itch a little bit because as, more and more of this volume becomes agent driven, the market itself might start to look a little different. Liquidity might behave differently, order flow could behave differently, and I think that has real consequences for how exchanges have to be designed. So, as my next question, as autonomous agents start trading alongside humans and at scale, how do you actually design the exchange so the agents don't sort of destabilize the markets or create unfair advantages for whoever has the best agent? Uh, has there might be a real risk here of a two-tier marketing sort of market emerging. So that's a sort of question that I have been wanting to ask as well.
Yeah, sure. So I mean, when you ask me this, it just makes me think about Wall Street in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, right? So we never had a chance because, like Wall Street, you would always lose. The house always
Yeah.
wins, and retail traders would always go in at some points where they thought it was going to be good. So I think definitely that's a good question. But answering your question, the right design principle is agents should be able to trade, but only through clear guardrails, audit trails, and isolated capital structures so they don't destabilize the market or create hidden exposure. So, dedicated sub accounts, sandbox environments, fund limits, and permissioning are examples of how you can keep automation from becoming uncontrolled automation. And then markets, I mean, definitely they can become riskier when every bot chases some signal. So the exchange's job is to make execution more transparent, not less. And finally, fairness comes from rules everyone can see, not from pretending automation isn't already part of the market. So we believe that at the end of the day, bots are going to execute, but now it's I'll tell you, it's going to be the same as we're doing with AI today. Today, AI is performing some things, but the guy who makes the best prompt is the guy who's going to win. So
Mhm.
it all becomes on who's going to be more intelligent on building the right rules. So we're kind of going back into the basics. As I always like to say, I mean, my kids are now in school, and I see some of the math that they give them, and I'm just like frustrated because like, why do they still have to do this? But at some point, some traders who are just on the go now they're going to have to go back into analyzing and making a strategy. So strategy
Mhm.
now again become I mean as always strategy becomes like the main thing because if you create the best rules into what is it that you want to do, how you want to do it, what is the execution times, what are your limits, your I think this is where something is going to win. Now there's some people who just let like a bot just run everything and they don't have anything to do. Now this is a super risky thing because they can actually read signs that are not the right. But on our side, what we do is we take all the information, which is all financial information. This means we don't take information from who says like Quora or Reddit. We take only real signals that are gonna make you like have the right information to make the trades you want. So
Mhm.
it's going to be hard right now. We're still in an early stage if you want to think about it, but I do believe that we're going to be in a bigger place.
Amazing. I think that sort of lends me to my last question because I want to give the listeners something practical as well to walk away with. Uh, so, what I've been seeing is right now every single exchange uh, is putting AI somewhere on their landing page. And as a trader myself, as a journalist, frankly, even as someone in this space full time, it's sometimes hard to tell what's real and what's just a sticker. uh, so if I'm a trader trying to figure out which platforms are genuinely building agent native infrastructure versus which ones are just AI washing, what are the concrete signs uh, I should be looking for?
Okay, so basically I think, okay, so you should put a lot of attention into where is the boss and where is actually the actual real thing. So traders need to look for four concrete signs. The first one is real execution. So real execution access that actually doesn't need you to click a button. Then you need real permissions, because real permissions is not something you just kind of set up, but you put a permission. You can even put like you can ask them as your agent to ask you before they make the trade. Real auditability and real risk controls. So if a platform only offers like a chat window or a prompt generator or a signal feed, that is AI assisted trading. It's not agent native because you're relying into something different. It's not, let's say, embedded in the system. So if it supports live tool calling, account isolation, API access, strategy deployment, and outcome tracking, that is much closer to genuine like agent infrastructure because it's built in. So for me, useful proof points from Bitget's on position include Agent Hub's MCP server. I don't know if you're familiar with MCP server,
Mhm.
but basically what this does is you can have an agent which is already there, something that you use, and you connect into your MCP, and it learns the trading skills. So now you can talk to it with the skills that we deploy. So you can ask it to place trades, to get information, to do a lot of things that you couldn't do before. Also, you have REST WebSocket APIs and CLI, plus get close isolated execution model. So maybe that was a little technical, but what I'm saying here is if you have to kind of go towards something else to pull information, that's not going to be the best thing. So you want to have something embedded that if you ask for a command, it's going to actually execute it. It's not like, and here's where I talk about the Frankensteins. I remember while working at Adobe that we had like analytics, and they said like, oh yeah, I have analytics, but I have a marketing emailing platform, so we're going to have to build like an API which is going to put the like flat data, then process it, push it here, and then from there we like blend it with sales information, and then we kind of simplify it and push it back to the platform. It's like, why would you have to do all that? You can have a system that does everything in one place, and then you lose, like, because you also lose time. And that's the other thing. If you go towards other systems, other places, you go there, you come back, you go there, you come back, and you lost the market. Because as I said, and I was pretty clear with the MotoGP thing, when you close your eyes, the market flips in a second. So I think that's where, when you have like the AI embedded within, I think that's where the value comes. And if I can give you one, like one really quick, and I'm going to go into another story. So basically, we're a UEX, Universal Exchange. We have been talking about this. And a lot of people don't know what a UEX means, because a lot of people came, because crypto has been here around for what, like 13, 14 years, right? So for people who don't know what a UEX is, did you ever, do you like music?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So sometimes I like to map the stages of crypto in terms of music. So
Mm-hmm.
the first exchanges in the world, I consider them the cassette age. Why the
Mm-hmm.
cassette age? Because if you ever owned a cassette, if you bought a cassette, you could only have one artist, and you had
Mm-hmm.
the A side and the B side, which was funny because the A side had the two songs you actually want to hear, and you never heard the B side because that was music that wasn't even like actually made to produce. It was just like a one hit
Mm-hmm.
wonder, and the other was terrible. So this compares to the early exchanges. So it was a clunky infrastructure. You needed a cassette player to hear it. It's not something that you could actually play anywhere, you know? And then you can only have like one or three tokens. And actually, the
Mm-hmm.
wallet was different from the exchange. So
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't like all like today that it's very simple. The next stage was like the digital age, where it was like CDs, Napster, LimeWire. You downloaded music, P2P, kind of like where DeFi started. You know, you were
Mm-hmm.
it was like a P2P conversion. Now you could make a CD, you can burn your own CD, but still you needed a CD player, or you needed, and if you wanted to have, let's say, 100 songs in the CD, you needed a Discman that would read MP3, which still had a lot of friction. Not everyone had access to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Steve Jobs came and said, 1,000 songs in your pocket, and it changed the music industry. And here is where simplicity comes into place, because he didn't have to say, we build a hardware based on a A1 chip, which is run on PHP on the back with a LED screen. No, he just said 1,000 songs in your pocket. And I think a lot of the exchanges today, this is where they are at, because they are listing 1,000 give or take tokens, but still there's a lot of friction because sometimes the UX is not that easy. It is complicated, and I think where we are today with Bitget, we're in the streaming age. So we're the Spotify of crypto. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because we have stuff like copy trading. Copy trading is like playlists. I love making my own playlist, but sometimes I go out and I check and I say like, oh, oof, this playlist is better than mine, and then I just
Mm-hmm.
start poaching songs from them. Why? Because a copy trader is that's what he does. So I can actually
Mm-hmm.
follow him and I can follow their trades and I can learn from them and I can get like some knowledge, you know. And then Spotify had a great thing that said like, if you like this song, then, and this is also with Netflix, they have
Yeah.
AI that can help you find things that you want or things that, so these platforms rely on AI, on social, on a lot of things. So today with UEX, what we built was not only more assets, because we realized that being just a crypto exchange was not the deal. We realized that we also needed DeFi, TradFi, and now we're coming up with new products. I don't know if you saw, but we have like the Prime IPO. Prime IPO
Mm-hmm.
is amazing because how many times you said like, oh my god, if I had all, and I'm going back to that. If Bitcoin wasn't done, I would take profit. How many times you're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my god, I would love to have access to that IPO, but I couldn't because now you can. So we have OpenAI and SpaceX pre-IPO tokens. So now you can actually go into them, you know. And finally, we also launched Reality. I don't know if you're familiar, but it's our own like first party real world asset token issuing platform, which is actually going amazing. So this means we're not just sitting down and just putting, okay, let's add more assets. No, we're going above and beyond, and we're listening to our customers, and we're getting the best that we can for them. So I think this is
Mm-hmm.
where the value comes. I mean, I think I can tell you, I've been here almost 10 months, and I can see that this is like the right place. I mean, this is the right bet because we're not just thinking as what is next in crypto. We're building a financial gateway for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So you can, and now we're also doing payments, scan to pay. So we're moving beyond just being a crypto exchange, which that's like very like
Mm-hmm.
2000s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. And I think I've seen that trend shift as well. From when I first got into crypto, I felt like it was a task just to get hands on, Bitcoin or the altcoins, right? Um, and also with that came self custody. If you're into self custody, that's a whole another process as well. But the trend that I've been seeing now is not just the features that have been launched, but also the accessibility, right? How easy it is, how user friendly it is to get onboarded, firstly, and then actually start trading or investing in it. So, uh, yeah, I'm very excited to see how this pans out in the next 3 months. Let's not say 12 months, because I do agree with you. I think this is gonna move very fast. Uh, yeah, I think, Ignacio, that was great. Genuinely, I learned a few things, and I think anyone listening is walking away with a much sharper picture of where all of this is going right now. Just want to say thank you. Thank you once again for joining us and taking time to come on. Before we end today's pod, where can our listeners follow your work, follow Bitget's AI build out, and stay close to what's coming next?
Yeah, sure. So for us, the main account we have is at Bitget on X, which is where we pretty much ship everything. They can also follow me on at Ignacio Bitget. It's pretty simple.
Mhm.
And yeah, so we share a lot of this stuff that we're building, and I think a lot of this, for example, um, pre SPACs, pre OpenAI, it's already like taking a big jump. So I think it's about learning, being there, and having opportunities. And just to close down, we had a next space, I think 2 days ago, and someone said, I love this phrase, and someone said, cash is useless until you need it. So it's good. I love that phrase because I have that mentality, and it's like
Mhm.
you should always have like some small part of your portfolio in cash because opportunities come. So it's
Mhm.
just about looking at the signals, but definitely tech is here to help us. If you think about marketers like myself, before I had to do everything by hand, reports, everything. Now you can connect something and then you can ask queries to tell you, hey, I want to know blah, 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 and it works. So this is where the value is going to come, and I do believe that pipe trading is definitely going to be the next trend. So thank you so much, Anush. It was a pleasure being here, and I hope that I can deliver the message that you expected. But it was great to see you, and hopefully we can chat again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ignacio. And for everyone listening, if you got value out of this, smash the like, hit subscribe, and let us know in the comments as well what you think about the agent native exchange thesis. This has been the Cryptopolitan podcast, and we will catch you all on the next one.